Good evening. Welcome to Rehab Talk Radio. I'm your host, Kobad Chris. We'll be rocking tonight, checking out the effects of flakko. I'm going to recap on some good Samaritan stuff. Websites to go to, corny news that is seeming to suck lately, and interesting designer drugs. So, here we go. First, I'd like to give a shout out to the SAMHSA. It's the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Guys, if you know anybody that's suffering from any type of drug addiction and you're in a place and you don't know where to go or what to do, my best suggestion would be to call 1 800 662 HELP. That's 1 800 662 4357. Their website will be able to give you frequently asked questions. You'll be able to go to training messages, any type of grants, information, programs, their newsroom, what they're all about. Anywhere pretty much you can find treatment for any type of substance use. So um, I'm looking up one right now for alcohol in any region, guys. They can help you out. They'll get you. They're open 24 hours, 7 days a week. How things are doing at the house? Well, unfortunately, ladies and germs, I gotta bow ahead for the three that we've lost. Unfortunately, that is the demon, guys. It's the beast. It's the way that the cookie crumbles, and there's nothing you can do about it. People come in and people leave. And it seems every damn time that they do leave, it takes a little piece of your heart with you. You can't help but bleed for them because you can tell that they're getting a little bit quieter and if they're getting a little bit more emotional and that they're getting a little more just zoned out. And there's nothing you can do. You can always talk to them and ask them. And it almost seems like some of them that carry on toward the great out of bounds. They know what they're doing. They know where they're going, and they've already had their mind made up. So I definitely want to give a shout out to any of them, anybody who's tried, but the demon just has its grasp on you, man. We try and get taught the tools we can in here to fight the demon when it comes, and it knows our innermost secrets. The demon knows us almost better than we know ourselves too many times, guys. It's a shameful, horrible, rotten, goddamn beast that we wish we could just stab in the heart with the world's biggest saber. But it's its own little hellion. Comes to you in a nice way, says, "Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and help you out here. I'm gonna let things die down. I'm gonna make you remember the best parts of me and forget about the worst." That's it seems to be a common denominator. You start thinking about the great times, the good things, all the amazingness of it, and how things may be better this time, and you talk yourself out of what is the best. Now, for me, all I can do is take it one day at a time and take as much as I can from those who have gone by the wayside, the fallen warriors, those who have tried, fought, battled, and failed. My heart is for you. It bleeds. So, once again, that's the SAMHAS National Hotline. That stands for Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. It's samhsa.gov. And their phone number is 1 800 662 HELP. That's 1 800 662 4357. They're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I figured that would, maybe there's somebody out there that's struggling with addiction that just doesn't know where to go. I had times I didn't know where to go. If it wasn't for previous and past experiences and friends and word of mouth and people that had been through it, then I probably wouldn't have known. And so there's a lot of first timers. Speaking of that, would like to go into the process of when you first get in. Now, for my personal first getting in, I remember sitting in downtown and I had no idea what I was in for. I'd been in 10 years prior due to something completely unrelated. It had been a basalt episode, and thankfully to say that I am still currently free of the basalt epidemic. Um, when you go in, you almost feel like you're going to jail. They strip you of all your clothes. Yes, they do. I'm not lying. They absolutely strip you of your clothes. You're put into a hospital gown, a double hospital gown, which I wish to God they would let me keep. I would if anybody wants to donate a hospital gown, hook me up. That's gonna be rehab talk radio gmail.com. Send me a hit up and we'll get her going. I'd definitely like to stream in the hospital gown just for good old times, just for nuts sake. No, when I got there, it was stripped in a hospital gown. You'd gotten a pair of medical socks that people still use even in here. I think I'm wearing a pair right now, medical socks that I'd gotten. And you have a bed. They show you into your dorm. Now you have a dorm. This has got about, I would say, probably 10 or 15 beds in it. When you get there, you got your own locker. You've got your effects you can put in. They give you hygiene equipment. They give you pretty much everything you need. Bummer of the whole thing. If you're like me, I'm an avid smoker. I love the backy. Smoking is my friend. They take that from you. But don't worry. Pardon me. Not to fret. Jesus, I mentioned the word smoking. My lungs automatically started wanting to kick it out. No. Yeah, you can't smoke in there, but what they do give you is they do give you a patch. And they do. Well, for me, I had trouble sleeping. I knew I was going to have a nightmare sleeping, especially if I was fiending for a cigarette, because alcohol was enough, and on top of that, fiending for a cigarette was even worse. The patches, they did okay for me, and then I had personally gotten medication to help me sleep through the withdrawal. Great side effect. It helped through the nicotine withdrawal too. So it's way easier than you would think it would be. And in there you have no phone. TV is limited. Now I'm not trying to downsell this. It is a good thing to get outside of your element. It's almost like camping. You're just away from technology and away from every. You'd be surprised just that boost alone. That you're away from all your worries and your problems, and you're in sanctuary. You're in a place where people want to take care of you and they want to be good to you and they fight for you. Um, I was in there for a grand total of 3 days, which is the normal. It's standard for the detox that I researched. Um, Afterward, I went to they have like a hub here in Northern Nevada for addiction, and where they're gonna send you what to do if you haven't applied for any type of Medicaid assistance or anything like that. They usually have a place where you can receive mail to help you out with all that. It's a great hub to know, and they're usually collaborate together. They're usually clustered. So that's a definite plus for the community there. And when I had been released from detox, a van had taken me there. I was escorted there by a van. I wasn't allowed to leave the property. That would be an automatic you're annexed or whatever it is. I think annex means stolen. That's my bad. You're booted. You're ousted. You're gone. So from there, they had fought for me. I had a nice, very nice pair of ladies fight for me to get me into here because they'd ask me. They go, what is it that you're seeking? They go, you're clean. What type of help do you want? And I said, look, I said short term is not going to work for me. I'm the kid that did not know how to arrange his sock drawer. But even still, I don't know how to arrange my sock drawer, get stuff arranged, keep appointments, stuff like that. It just goes by the wayside for me. What can I say? The only thing I am halfway decent at is keeping the stream going and doing dishes. Yes, I am. That is, I don't think I've ever mentioned that my job and that Mr. Kev's job is both. We are now everybody in rehab has a job. It's a side chore. It's something we've got to do. We have no choice. It's definitely a responsibility tactic. It's a community tactic. It's good. It's a good thing to keep these responsibilities too. You have people that clean like a third floor bathroom, or they mop, or they clean the walls, or even something as simple as taking out the kitchen garbage. Something very simple. Um, our personalities, I guess we decided to just go for broke on that one. She's the longest standing job that there is. This job, the normal would probably be about 15 minutes for any chore. Ours is definitely over an hour. On an easy day, it'll be slightly under an hour. So we enjoy it though. We do what we do, and no complaints. But so you they check you in to a long term facility, and you have a chore, and you have a what you got, and your clothes, and they send you long term. I said thank you. They asked me if I wanted long term, and I said as long as I can get. You know, they said we'll hook you up. They worked very hard to do it. Here I am, 3 months later. Moved into the place that you definitely have heard of and never seen, and hopefully you never want to see it. And why did that go on? Definitely the place you never want to see. But you'd be glad if you ever had to go here. I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense, but it is what it is. Let's see. Moving on. Let's check out this. Why are they doing it? By the way, I try and look for news a lot, and I try and look for it nationwide. I try to look for it worldwide, but some of the dumbest shit comes on the news. Like I don't care. I think the Trump story has been done to death. That is one thing that news is just immaculate for. Is the just the worst news on the planet, and they it's not terrible news to say per se, but it's news that is just done to death. Like by golly, um, yeah, the Trump thing has been done to death. No, whichever side you go with, it's just done to death. It's nothing new. Well, Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. Okay, that you know, with the Zaporizhia power plant, that one in the Chernobyl power plant got me because I had studied the Chernobyl plant when I was younger, and I think I had actually an assignment to do that. That was going to be my project, my big thesis was completely on Chernobyl. And for some reason, anytime the Zaporizhia power plant in Ukraine, um, which is a nuclear power plant that Russia had seized, and it pretty much from what sources are saying is being used as a compounder, a base for military use in that power plant because it's basically foolproof. You got to think it's kind of a genius point on their part when you really think about it. It kind of is. I mean, what can you say? That you can't be fired upon. It can't be fired upon. That's danger of the whole world getting radiated. Back in Chernobyl, and I think it was 1986, January, February, March, April 26th, 1986. I think is when it was because it was right before the May Day parades. Um, yeah, they'd had a huge nuclear accident all early in the morning. It was a test that had been done on reactor number four, I think, and the test went way beyond the parameters of what a normal test should be because they were expecting the infrastructure of that power plant to have been built to specs. Well, unfortunately, that power plant had not been built to specs. It had been raced ahead to get bonuses, and that was a huge contributor to demise. But the fact that it went outside a parameter to begin with put the main guy, I think his name's Anatoly Dyatlov. Uh, I'll have to look that up, but yeah, he ran outside of the perimeters, and unfortunately, the safety equipment failed. It gave wrong readings, and there are graphite tips that are inserted into each of these uranium rods, which uranium is what heats up, fuels whatever, boils water, and keeps the turbine running. These uranium rods, they contain graphite at the tip, which act as the brakes that slows the chemical reaction down. So I mean, you could say soda pop that's fizzing, that slow the chemical reaction is take the air off it. That'll slow the chemical reaction. Anybody that's had a Coca Cola bottle that untwisted it and then twisted it back up when it started rushing up knows that oxygen is what helps with the chemical reaction. To my knowledge, don't quote me on anything I ever say. I am here to BS the night away. That is my job. So unfortunately, in this instance, when the uranium had gotten too hot and the type of and graphite being used, um, that they found out that when you use that at that heat, that there's a surge. Instead of it going down, it spikes for a split second. And when that spiked, it was already at overflowing temperatures, and it just kind of blew up and blew the whole lid up. I think it was a 200 to 2,000 ton lead containment lid that was completely blown off the top of this sucker. It's pretty interesting. They have a documentary. It's called Battle for Chernobyl. It's a good documentary. It's worth watching, especially nowadays. It keeps your eye on this other power plant, especially in the middle of a war, which is interesting because part two of the Russia saga with Chernobyl is these guys actually took over the base when they'd invaded after February 22nd. And when they invaded Ukraine, it was one of the first things they took over was the power plant, and they started digging trenches for protection. Unfortunately, the trenches in Chernobyl, it still had radioactive, what is it, boron, cesium, everything that has a half life of God knows how many thousand years. So these guys are digging basically their own graves. Word wasn't said about it, but I had seen videos about these guys, um, and the things that they've left behind, like their food rations for war, like their MREs or whatever, and those things were highly radiated. They had to dispose of those properly. So it can only say what kind of a nightmare that those poor fellows are going through right now. I don't think anybody in the world should have to die of radiation. That's not a good way to go. Yeah, that's not a happy thought. So, Zaporizhia takeover. May as well as Europeans one step away from radiation disaster, says WION News, which is one of my favorite sources because it's non here nor there. People usually argue about the news here in the States about what's real and what's fake, and I go my own direction with it. Okay, Ukraine had said earlier that electricity at the power plant was disconnected. Now that was stated a couple days ago because Russia wants to take that power. Um, and Russia is still calling it a special military operation. Now, I mean, you can label it whatever words you want, SMO or WAR. Either way, there's POWs with no BMWs. I don't know where I'm going with this. Blame each other for selling at the site. See, nobody wants to take the responsibility. So Russia definitely wants NATO to stay the hell out of it. I wouldn't blame them. Yeah, no. Anything like that, the UN would have to get involved if it ended up being a worldwide catastrophe over shelling at a nuclear power plant. Which what the hell is wrong with these people? It's like you're inviting the end of the world by that. And which I love about what Einstein said. He said World War III will be fought with nuclear weapons. World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. It's a great way to put it. Another genius guy, Carl Sagan. He was the guy that I think he wrote the movie Contact or had something to do with the movie Contact. He wrote that nuclear warfare is two men sitting in a bathtub that are arch rivals, one saying I have three matches and the other one saying I have five. I think that is spectacular quotes. It's a good way to put it, and the utter pointlessness of nuclear warfare. Um, 10 countries, to my knowledge, have nuclear capabilities, and I think seven of them have over 100. And it's estimated that 100 is what it takes, which is why I'm pretty sure that Triton missiles on nuclear submarines only carry 96 missiles. It's four tubes of 24. Um, yeah, 24 tubes of four missiles. I think that's what I believe a nuclear submarine carries. So moving on in the world, I had just started reading up. Now we'd all been talking outside because that's what we do. We're a bunch of babblers. Anytime, day or night, we go outside. We have a smoking area and we have a hangout area. They always bitch because you're not supposed to be near the stairs, and rightfully so. After a certain amount of time, they shut down that smoking area. You gotta stay outside, right by the stairs. And our view pretty much from there, I'll get to it, guys. Bear with me. Our view from pretty much there is you look left down the street and there is gosh, what's the way to put it? A same sex interest uh, alcohol consumption facility. Down the road to the left and to the right, you have a nightclub. And next to each of those is convenience stores. And yeah, about behind that, another casino, and there's casinos all off in the distance. I'd say within a quarter mile, maybe less, maybe more, give or take. So with this view in this spot that we have, we come across a lot of interesting characters, and especially when we're sitting out there, we can hear it secondhand. But it is its own little trippity trip. There was a person there that had been kind of acting strange and funny, and when they're out there as an addict, you can't help but wonder, especially talking to other addicts, what drug they're on. It's almost like this game of what drug is this guy on? What's the poor bastard taking too much of? Because it's usually early in the morning. Why, I have no idea. They act somewhat funny late at night. I mean, we've had outside screamers around midnight, 1 o'clock. No, guys, it is not around that time. It's around like 6 or 7 or even 8 o'clock in the morning that the true diehards, those with true grit, are out there feeling the effects of whatever it is that they've taken. And God bless them. I hope that they find help. If it's a huge problem, which I'm no psychologist, but I'm gonna guess it's some kind of problem. So, yep. So we're trying to figure out what type of thing that these guys are on, and none of us can exactly pinpoint. I mean, some of us think we know. They say, "Oh no, he's been on meth for too long." I go, "No, no, no, no. I've been on meth for a few days. I don't dig and crawl around and that kind of thing." And I have verbally talked to myself, but the actions are very much like similar to somebody's been up too long in meth, but there's a little bit more action and craziness and rushing thoughts going through this person's head. Um, I've had people that have gotten onto fentanyl, saying that could be a fentanyl thing. Uh, to my knowledge, fentanyl doesn't make you that insane. Not so whacked out of your mind that you don't realize that you're crawling around a cop car. I mean, maybe it does, but that wouldn't be my fixation. What a few of us have come across is that there's been a drug out for probably around 7 or 8 years now, and it's called flakko, and it's one thing that I know can have a really adverse effect on your brain, especially the dopamine receptors. Would definitely be flakka. Its actual name is really long, It's uh it's called alpha pyrrolidine norepinephrine. Yeah, try saying that 3 times fast. It's a synthetic stimulant. It was developed in the 1960s, believe it or not. I had no idea that flakko was that old. Um, it's in the cathinone class. Now, the cathinone class, guys, if I could just hold you right where you're at for a second. Cathinone class is a type of drug that derives from caffeine and cathinone, which basically means that it's the sister drug of methamphetamine, I believe, about as I've described earlier. So it's in the same basalt methamphetamine flakka region, and which kind of surprises me because I thought it would have been more like crocodile. Um, it's hugely addictive. Um, it's chemically related to pyroverolone, um, meaning that basalt is its actual name is methylene diaxylpyroverolone. So this isn't methyl, it's non-methylene diaxyl, but it is a pyroverolone, which means that amazingly how close it is to basalt. Um, if you can, I definitely recommend watching any type of video on it. I watched a guy crawling around a car. I see a lady that cannot stand up. She's almost like the. I like how Hunter S. Thompson puts it. He's like the village drunkard in a movie, trying to maintain, except you can see herself behaving in this weird way. She is messed up to boot. Um, it's not a drug I would want to be on. I would very neurotic, very emotional. It's going from almost instantaneously one emotion to the next. And the body is almost like a zombie dancer that is becoming mummified. Yep, you got a zombie dancer that's getting necrosis and oh gosh, what is it called when your muscles start to stiffen up? Rigor mortis. It's about what it is. It's like, it's almost like breakdancing with rigor mortis is how it looks. You, I definitely recommend seeing these shows, guys. They're a real eye opener, and it is real, and they are here. I mean, the drugs are here. Now, for any of you that got to fast forward to, um, would be what we were talking about earlier, crocodile. Um, that's with Krokidile. Yeah, that's about what it is, and it guys, I'm gonna have to give you a little bit of warning on a couple of these videos here. They're gnarly. Um, oh yeah, it's a drug from Russia, and I think you have to sign in to see any of these videos anyway. But pretty gnarly. The effects of it is anybody that's been in MSHA, which is Mine Health Safety Hazard Training, knows that what an injection wound is. Now, an injection wound is when you're working on hydraulics, and the fluid of a hydraulics can you can have like a loose wire or shrapnel or something poke your skin, and that pressure from the hydraulics will actually drive it underneath your muscle to a certain point. And when that happens, you don't have a lot of time to get to a hospital or something. The second it starts turning black. If you've had any type of air force or pressure forced working around any type of mechanics, guys, and you've got an injury, definitely get to a hospital because minutes matter, hours matter, time matters with that kind of an injection wound. So basically, what crocodile is it's these chemicals. It's it's I've heard of it being a basically like motor castor oil, um, WD-40, all kinds of weird stuff. and it's pretty nasty, guys. It's got my jaw dropped just checking out these videos. Um, it's it's an opioid derivative of codeine. I did not know that. Um, highly addictive. Desomorphine, Schedule 1 substance, meaning has a high abuse potential with no accepted medical use. Ouch. And if you see some of the pictures, you have people with the flesh on their feet are gone from injection wounds. There's a poor lady, she was crying and she had half of her face had was deteriorating. I believe she made a recovery. I'm not positive. Don't quote me on that. I definitely don't want it to end in a sad or bad way. I hope these guys can get off it. And they complain of a lot of pain when they're coming off it, when they're in detox of it. It's highly addictive. Um, definitely abuses and warnings. Now, it's Schedule 1 drug. That's about the highest it can go. I believe it's Schedule 1. Um, yeah. High abuse potential with no accepted medical use. Yeah. Um, it's also long-term users who inject this caustic agents into their veins can develop extreme skin ulcerations, infections, and gangrene. Uh, gangrene they're described as a discolored green, gray, or black scale-like skin that resembles a crocodile, hence the street name Crocodile. Ooh, that's why, because of the gangrene that you get from it. That is gnarly. Absolutely gnarly. Oh, uh, not something I really want to sink my teeth into. I'm good. Oh God, you get all kinds of damage and stuff from it. You need skin grafts. You'll need limb amputations. You get pneumonia, blood poisoning, meningitis, rotting gums or tooth loss, blood or bone virus transmission. You get HIV from it. Bone infection. Well, I guess they're probably saying needle. Yeah, it says i.e. needle sharing. Bone infection, speech motor skills impairment, memory loss, liver and kidney damage. Obviously, you can overdose from it. Uh, respiratory effect, it can slow or stop your breathing, and obviously, it can give you death. That is a gnarly drug. I'm not sure what flakko does. Flakko. I thought that meant, or flacca. I thought that meant skinny in Spanish. I'm a little rusty on it. What is Inflaca drug? They call it the zombie drug. Well, I thought that's what they were calling bath salts, was the zombie drug. That's for God's sake. Highly addictive, dangerous drug, otherwise known as alpha PVP, alpha-pyridinopentyophenone. Jesus, say that 3 times freaking fast. Um, other street names for it are gravel and flocka. Uh, oh, they actually have a comparison, flocka versus bath salts. I was pretty dead on with that. Um, synthetic drugs known as bath salts from synthetic cathinone class of drugs like flocka and cathinones are central nervous system stimulants, and they definitely mimic stimulant effects. So I guess what they're trying to mimic is either crystal meth and like a Molly or MDMA mix. Um, street names for bath salts, there's a billion of them. The most common one would probably be Noble or Ivory Wave. Meow Meow. Um, I have done a few of these on this list. Actually, I think I've done damn near all of them. It's also research chemicals. Yeah, that is a huge one. Is for bath salts, is they would always say it was for pipe cleaner, or it would always be marketed as something else. That's how they managed to stay above the curve on it. because you can't make it illegal if it's a chemical that's never been heard of before. And believe me, they spend a lot of time, money, and energy into rapidly transmutating these drugs to something that is not yet illegal because it's not yet known, because it just got invented, and then the market gets flooded, and then they got to move on to the next thing that becomes illegal. Very, very smart law tactics is what it is. It's a very wise law tactic. That's how it managed to go for so long until 2011, when I believe Obama had said, okay, we're going to put a stop to all designer drugs. So, um, well, what do you get from doing flakka though? Symptoms of flakka: abuse and addiction. Let's find out. Frightening delusions that I've seen: violent aggression ish, extreme agitation ish, paranoid psychosis. I think I've seen that. Hyperstimulation. Oh, yeah. Paranoia. Not really. Not at the time that I had seen it. They're out in the middle of the street yelling. Seizures. Never seen that. Involuntary muscle jerks. Myoclonus is what it's called. Wow. Yeah. That's muscle spasms. I've seen a lot of those. Increased heart rate. I would never go up to try and find out. Hypertension, hyperthermia, increased sweating, and prolonged dilation of the pupil of the eye. Like I said, I wouldn't even come near it. I wouldn't even go near somebody with sunflower because they're out of their mind. I'm comparing it to PCP at this point. Withdrawal symptoms include depression, anxiety, tremors, insomnia, and paranoia. So, based off of all these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 um, of the signs of this thing, I'm seeing probably 9, maybe 8. Um, I haven't gotten up to see the rest of the 7 to make the 15. But it definitely could be. And I thought Flock had died. I was assuming that was not an issue anymore in America. I thought we'd wiped that out. But lo and behold, here it is, and here they are. So, with the closing of that, guys, I'm going to have to wish y'all a good night. Hope the best for you. You guys try and stay safe. I'll be having my next podcast probably tomorrow night. Hopefully, we get good old Kevin back on to come riff with us. And our next mystery guest, which is yet to be declared. So, guys, you stay safe out there. Try to fight the good fight, man. Because I'm right here with you, arm in arm, brothers in arms, man. I'm good. That my weapon is my sobriety, and the war is the demon. Y'all stay safe now.